proverb says, steady plodding brings prosperity. He who makes haste to be rich will not go unpunished. At Ronald Blue Trust, we don't have any clients who are clients because they hit some big investment. We have clients because they did what God called them to do. They spent less than they made. They built their business. They built their career. They did their medical practice, their dental practice, whatever, and they preserve. The key word to write there is you preserve with your investments. You don't accumulate. You get wealthy by being concentrated and doing what God's called you to do, and then you preserve with your investments. People get that all mixed up, and then they go over here, and then that starts getting them in a negative situation financially because they buy the lie of the world and think investments are the way to go. What's the world tell us about estate planning? It says, make it and leave as much as you can to your children and grandchildren. That's what the world will tell you, and most of the sophisticated tax planning that goes on is all around making sure this happens. Did you know there's a verse, Ecclesiastes 7, 11 and 12, that talks about estate planning? You probably didn't know that. How many of you knew there was a verse on estate planning in the Bible? I have one person over here raise their hand. It says you can leave your kids wisdom and you can leave them money, and they'll both protect, but only one preserves, and that's wisdom. So the punchline is, if you're going to err, you err on the side of leaving wisdom rather than money. And so that's the opposite of what the world would tell us. So that's just some biblical thinking on your wealth. Wisdom for your wealth. How do I think about it? Now the challenge is, as you leave here today, what are you going to go do about it? Are you going to be getting out of debt? Are you going to work with balance? What are you going to do about it? And I would give you 2 words for what a wise life looks like, and that's generous and purposeful. I think there's a verse written there, Ephesians 5, 15 to 17, says, look carefully how you walk, live purposefully and accurately and worthily, not as an unwise, witless person, but as a wise, sensible, intelligent person, making the most of the time, buying up each opportunity because the days are evil. Men and women, we need to live purposefully. And then in 1 Timothy 6, it says, instruct those who are rich to be generous. And I'll give you a couple 4-letter words to put down there too. You can either be generous, which is what a wise person does, or you can store up treasures on earth like the farmer in Luke 12, and what was he called? He was called a fool. So the choice we all have is, am I going to be generous towards God? Am I going to be generous with my life? The value of a life, of how much of it is given away. So I will live a wise life versus a foolish life. You know, and we need to live purposefully. So we need to live generously and purposefully.